Hello, I'm back again, which means that I thought my first video was some sort of a success. I hope everybody is still okay. I was going to do a video about my first time, like I went onto a set and the whole thing about that, but the first job that I ever did, Wonder Woman 1984, has not yet been released. It was meant to come out last year, the end of 2019, then it got pushed back to June 2020, and now obviously with this whole craziness that's going on at the moment, I don't think it's going to even get out again. Because it's a blockbuster and it is within DC, a very big franchise, I had to sign papers, and one of those pieces of papers was basically to say that you will not say anything about this production basically until it's been released. So no spoilers, no nothing that will spoil the plot, the narrative, you know. So I have sort of decided not to go into detail about my first ever time on set yet. So the last video I did was about signing up and basically everything up until, I'd say, accepting your first job basically. After that, there could be multiple emails that they could send you basically asking you all sorts of questions, i.e. the times, the dates. Another thing that they will ask you for, which might also actually be in an inquiry, are the dates for a costume fitting. So costume fittings are for, obviously, what it says in the title, where they fit a costume. They dress you in the attire that they want you to wear for the production. This tends to be obviously for period productions. It could be a specific style. You might be asked to wear a specific uniform or something that's relatable to the production. When it comes to the productions that I've been on, I've only had 2 costume fittings for the productions that I've done, and that was for Wonder Woman 1984 and for A Christmas Carol, which was set in the Victorian era. The location for your costume fitting will be within the inquiry that you get sent, or they could send it you after you've accepted the job and the dates. In my case, my costume fitting for Wonder Woman was 2 years ago now, nearly 2 years ago. It was the 23rd of August 2018, and my costume fitting was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was at Warner Brothers Leavesden. I'm assuming many people know or have been to the Harry Potter studios in London. Literally the studios are behind that, and that's where I had to go to. And at the time I didn't even realise that that was there. How bad is that? I didn't realise that the studios were literally behind the Harry Potter studios. I thought that was just all Harry Potter stuff that, I don't know, was kept in storage. Or my mum literally decided to just, we pulled up just around the corner from where the gates were to the studios. My mum got out, I got in the driver's seat because my mum drove me down there. I got in the driver's seat and drove myself round. If you wonder where my mum went, she went on a jolly to Watford. She decided to go around all sorts of places in Watford. She got on the bus. She doesn't mind that. She doesn't mind it at all. It's just a day out for her. She went, and I got in my car, drove around the corner to the studios, and I was absolutely like bricking it. I was so scared at the time. This is my first ever job that I have ever done. I've done nothing like this. So I pull into the car park, leaves the studio's car park, and I managed to find my way to the minibus that takes you through the studios to the location of the costume fitting, which is basically in this big tent that I'm guessing is there temporarily. I was in there for about 6 hours, I want to say, sitting there on benches that were at the sides of like the room where you could sit. That was where you filled out your paperwork, blah blah blah. You do get paid for the costume fitting, and you get paid certain amounts depending on how long you're there, and I think it was 4 hours that you had to be there for to get the full price, and I was there for 4 hours because they decided to send in all the men first because they had to be clean shaven. They couldn't have beards. This was just what they said they needed to be to fit the style of the film. They couldn't have beards or any facial hair, so they got the men all in first. They did have to shave some men's beards off that they did not expect. The men didn't expect they would have to, but apparently it was in the brief. I think it is in the brief. Yeah, so us women had to sit there while the men all went in first. When they call you, basically, they call you one by one. There's somebody normally who comes out, well, obviously from costume, and they go, okay, who's next? And then you go in. That's where you're taken in. You're basically asked to strip while they take a look at you. Literally stand there, look you up and down, and they go, right, what size are you? Size 8, I think I was at the time. Size 8 in skirt, top, and size 6 in shoe, and they go away, and they come back with something that hopefully will fit you. For me, it was this really vulgar suit. It fitted me really well. It's the best of a suit that ever fit me. If you don't know, the style is 80s, so it's Wonder Woman 1984, so it's obviously set in 1984. It had very slight shoulder pads, and I had this orange shirt underneath, and the skirt matched the blazer, and it was this grey suit with like very faint like orange stripes, small stripes that went down vertically. The skirt was the same, and then I had these sort of sandy coloured heels, and at the time I had not worn heels in a very long time. I used to wear them a lot when I was younger, and then I got tall. I'm 5'9", if you don't know. I got tall, and I'm very thin as well, very thin, so heels don't exactly look great on me. I have to be wearing a certain like style of clothing to even out the balance of height and width. I did Wonder Woman and A Christmas Carol with the same company. My costume fitting for A Christmas Carol was in a Mercure hotel. It was just outside of Warwick, which was not far from the actual shooting location. My call time was at 8:30, and I think I remember the traffic being interesting. I remember thinking, bloody hell, that's going to be a fun drive in the morning, or whenever I got this. It was Wednesday the 29th of May 2019. That was about a week before the filming dates. Women were told to bring vest, strappy top, doesn't matter on colour, to wear underneath the corset. That delightful piece of garment that I had to wear for hours. Thick black tights have to arrive wearing underwear. People do arrive to costume fittings without underwear on. Fittings usually only last around 4 hours. Yeah, I was not in there for 4 hours. I realised quite early on that there was not going to be a lot of extras on this. There wasn't really many at all, because sometimes in the costume fittings you go in and they have the list of people coming in for a costume fitting, and it's got them day by day. And I know there was only about 2 days, maybe 3 possibly. I think there was children in this as well, and I think they had a day for the children's costume fittings as well. The costume attire for this production was obviously mid 19th century Victorian clothing, which involved wearing a very, very tight corset. The costume fitting gives you a good idea of how you're going to feel on the day of shooting. So please, if you ever have a costume fitting, take into account what you feel like on the day. I obviously brought tights, as it said in the brief. There was these big thick tights to go under my dress. I had a vest top that went on underneath the corset, and because I was that thin, they could not find a corset that would fit me. They were all too big. And at the time I thought every corset they were putting on me, I was like, yeah, that fits alright. She was like, no, it doesn't fit alright. I now understand why it didn't fit right, because it wasn't stifling me. Finally, she said, oh, I'm just going to have to put this one on for now, and then on the day I will find you a corset. It turns out the corset that they got me was a child's corset. So they definitely got the true Victorian woman's figure. The corset that they put me on, they really strapped me in. I remember thinking, this is like really tight, like, you know, and apparently the head of costume wanted us, the extras, to feel like a true Victorian woman would feel. So, and we were like, why? I mean, we had, I'd say about 4 or 5 layers on. I had the corset, then I had an underskirt on, then I had another layer of like a skirt, and then I had the actual dress on, which I remember being quite tight under the arms. I have a photo of it somewhere. There's me somewhere eating something with it on. My mum and dad came to see me on the set, and it was quite tight around the arms. I remember thinking, this is really tight. And then they put a cloak on top of me, on top of that. I think it was about 5 layers in total, and it was June. So, but I don't remember being warm. And I definitely don't remember being cold overnight. Moving on to the end of the effing world, that was literally, we didn't have a costume fitting for that, neither did we have a costume fitting for Sex Education. If it's like a modern day type of series that they feel people will be able to contribute their own clothes towards a costume, then they will tell you a specific brief. A brief will come in specifically for costume, and they list what they want you to bring to set if you have it yourself at home. And it's literally a case of bringing clothes in a suitcase, and then they tell you to open it, and they literally rifle through your clothes, and they go, yep, this, yep, this, yep, this, and then they tell you to go away, put it on, and then you come back and then they'll have a look at you. And don't get me wrong, they've got other things that they have as part of the production that they can tell you to put on. For the end of the effing world, I changed my costume, I'd say about 6 or 7 times, because they were doing different days within the lecture theatre. If you've watched it, you'd know what I mean. So, and it was literally a case of they give me a change of top and I had to get changed in the toilet and come out again, and then they'd take a look at you and go, yeah, okay, you're alright. It was much the same for Sex Ed, getting changed in, oh no, it wasn't actually, we had like a corner of the costume room with all the costumes on where you got changed with other people there as well, not men but like other women. For every production you have your own little hanger with your name on it where you keep all of your costume. The costume fitting also includes makeup, which I got transformed for Wonder Woman into this lovely 80s like makeup, which was big bold orange eyeshadow, mascara, blushy cheeks, you know, I had like orangey red lipstick on, very, very bold. For the end of the effing world, I did not have any makeup on. That is crucifying for me to know, because after I saw how I looked on, like, I was not happy with how I looked on the end of the effing world, apart from the library scene, but that was because my head was down, you couldn't see my face. I realised after that, Naomi, for God's sake, ask for makeup to be applied to your face if you have the option, which I did for the end of the effing world. I said no though. And for Sex Education, the makeup was literally just, hang on a sec, it's not even changed one bit, I don't think. This is what I had for Sex Education, and I would sit in my car just around the corner from the set, about an hour from the call time, and sit there applying my makeup in the car. And I would style my hair before I went. It was funny because I would obviously get there with loads of time to spare because I didn't know what traffic was going to be like. And I remember having call times in the morning like 9, 9:30, 8:30, and there would be school kids coming past my car, and I would be putting my makeup on every time they like came past. I'd be like, that's it for another video. I hope everybody stays safe and keep washing your hands, doing all that jazz. So yeah, bye bye!